Hail Internet, it's Paul, it's Matt, the Dork Lords. Today, we're talking about the final two episodes of Murderbot, Season 1 on Apple TV. The episode's entitled All Systems Red and The Perimeter. We open episode 9 with the team putting Murderbot's plan into action. The gist of the plan is that Murderbot will go alone to meet with the Grey Chris team, offering to betray the Preservation Alliance in exchange for its freedom. Meanwhile, Garathan and Pinley are to use a drone to activate Grey Chris's emergency beacon, thus calling the corporate rim in for an evacuation. Mensa asks Murderbot for an assessment of their chances. It lies and says medium to low instead of low to extremely low, which is what it's thinking. That is how we begin. We end the season with the crew successfully saving Murderbot from the corporate rim folks and retrieving its wiped memory. The crew intends to take Murderbot back to the Preservation Alliance where it can exist as a free entity. But the night before they're set to leave, Murderbot attempts to sneak away. Garathan catches it. Murderbot says it has to go check the perimeter, and Garathan realizes it's saying goodbye and lets it go. Murderbot fakes an identity as a servant bot, boards a ship headed for parts unknown. Mensa awakens to find Murderbot gone and realizes Murderbot has freely made a choice to be on its own. Credits. All that said, Paul.
Yes?
What'd you think of episodes 9 and 10 of Murderbot?
So, even though there were, again, considerable differences between the show and the book, they certainly hewed to the parts that I wanted them to.
Nice.
The whole he leaves to go on his own is from the book.
Which is great, and I mean, honestly, they stuck that landing. I really feel like that
Yes.
it's a very satisfying ending to this season, for sure.
Yeah, and it was another YouTuber who said that, they actually, but how it happened, when that final episode had many differences between the book and the thing. So there wasn't a whole, we wiped his memory and made him go be, a guard against...
That's not from the book, in other words.
No, they had possession of Murderbot, so they knew that it was going to be a problem at the end of it, so they didn't allow his memory to be wiped, and they were negotiating from the very time that they,
Okay.
So, you could actually argue, like, what did you think was going to happen? It's like, I mean, maybe, like, because he was so damaged at the end of it. But then he was damaged in the book, too. Anyway, so...
Okay, I got you.
So, yes, that was different, but I don't have a problem with that, actually. It worked just fine. But I think the primary reason they did that, just so that, Garathan did not figure so heavily into that. So they could have Garathan really make a change in how he felt about Murderbot. And so that all
and
worked.
take part in preserving Murderbot's identity, essentially.
Yeah, and, probably since it's been approved for a second season, we'll see it in the second season. But we're giving Garathan even more insight to Murderbot since he had his whole mind in his head as well.
Good point. Good point. Yeah, so the season 2 renewal is a good thing. Do we get the team in future books, or does Murderbot's story take him to a new cast of characters?
Yes, the next book does not, but subsequent books do.
Okay, so they'll probably... the way most shows work is if you establish a group of characters, you probably stay with those characters. So my guess is you'll see the team okay, gotcha.
Yeah, it's possible we'll see the team in some other story that, because when we pick things back up with the group, they're trying to do their own thing. So I don't know. It'll be interesting to see, since this is a modern television show, if they will decide to continue the story and not be afraid that they'll lose access to these actors if they don't employ them for a season. We'll see.
Got you. Yeah, it's interesting. Right. Either way, I guess it's a choice to make. I do feel like in these last two episodes, the script kind of finally narrowed in on our three most compelling characters. It's Murderbot, obviously, Garathan, and Mensa. And you have those three could form the foundation of a quality story going forward. So anyway, just to say, I would like to see those three.
I definitely enjoyed these last two episodes more, and I will say that certainly there wasn't really any kumbaya moments. And let's all feel our feelings, or let's discuss our weird sexual relationships or anything.
And I feel like looking back now at the season, because they were these 20-minute episodes essentially. You had a fair number of characters there, and you're trying to give them all some kind of arc. And I feel like they kind of gave up on that in these last episodes. They're like, look, let's give Murderbot his arc, let's give Garathan his arc, and let's give Mensa a bit of an arc as well. And then the others would be like, oh, thanks for playing, which I think was probably the right move. But yeah, so they finally gave Garathan, and I kept waiting for this turn, and they gave him the much anticipated turn to empathize with Murderbot as a fellow outsider.
Yes.
And while the story could have ended with Murderbot, not from the book's standpoint, obviously there, but the story could have ended with Murderbot joining the team as a free entity. Far more satisfying to have Murderbot make its own choice, exercising its autonomy. And there's that line where it says, I don't know what I want, but I know I don't want anyone to tell me what I want or to make decisions for me, even if they are my favorite human. And then we get this equally satisfying reactions, acknowledging the sentiment from Garathan and Mensa, both silently, but their acting skills are on display as we see what they interpret what's happened and what's happening as an excellent thing. And anyway, it's great. So I appreciated all that.
It's funny, actually. Yeah, it was a whole episode where they had to deal with how they would dispense of the other crew. They all work together as a crew, and Murderbot shows again that it is willing to sacrifice itself for the humans, proving that it deserves the trust of the group.
Yeah, and I liked there's the bit where things go south in episode 9, and Murderbot is holding one of the crew hostage so that the other sec units won't attack.
Yes.
And in that moment, Murderbot comes up with a strategy, and it begins with, we can talk about this, talking to the sec units. Like, look, I can help you, And of course, we saw the crew earlier, that we can talk about this, that's Murderbot learning about conflict resolution by observing the team. Right. So it was like, they're good modeling behavior. He's like figuring out ways to handle situations. So that was, I liked the inclusion of that moment, even though it doesn't work. The fact that he tries it shows he's learning. Also, I appreciated the fact that the show, and maybe it's the books too, but the show paid off Murderbot's association with Sanctuary Moon. Like, it's not simply just, hey, I like watching this show and it's a fun pastime for me. Like, first, multiple times, it allows Murderbot to distract the Grey Chris folks until one of their team recognizes the dialogue. Is like, hey, I thought it was a pretty good scene too. But the fact that, hey, what can I go to? I know, I'll give lines from Sanctuary Moon. And then, as you say, this is not in the books, but Garathan's able to find Murderbot's memories by tracking downloads of Sanctuary Moon episodes. So a nice tie-in again that this is like it is wrapped up in Murderbot's identity. So I thought that was really, really cool.
It's certainly, in a number of areas of the book, he does refer to it, and it comes up in certain times. So that was perfectly fine. Yeah, all right, and right. I thought you were going to mention when he flooded the.
Another great point with Sanctuary Moon episodes.
Yeah.
Can't take overload. We get in the beginning of episode 10, we see that the corporate rim techs basically humiliating and abusing Murderbot. It reminded me a lot of Westworld, where we saw the techs basically just abusing the hell out of these the robots. Yeah. And so it's weird. These shows basically state the case that if given the chance, techs would abuse the hell out of cyborgs.
Yeah.
And I'm not so sure that would be an across-the-board problem. Maybe. I don't know. I mean, certainly there'd be a subset of folks who would exploit their power over those they control. That will always be the case.
Perhaps.
Surely there's a group of folks who would just treat it like a job. Hey, I'm a professional doing a job. I bring in my quota of cyborgs online. I take my hour lunch. I go home at the end of the day. It's like we're not all sadistic, are we? Are we, Paul? Are we all sadistic, Paul?
Yeah, no. That may have been an example of how they're trying to stress a difference between those in the corporation rim and those outside.
It's part of that dystopian future.
Yeah, exactly.
It's just interesting that like part of that dystopian future is that even people who are just day laborers are just terrible. Terrible people. Like, oh, man.
Yeah, and it's worth mentioning that the problem that they tried to assign Murderbot to is workers who were striking because they weren't getting food. And
right.
So, it's like, yes, another way in which the company is asshole. And that Garathan was aware of that part of the company, and that's why he was so suspicious of Murderbot, because he saw Murderbot as a basically belonging to the company.
But that was also an interesting turn of events. So we have Murderbot, some part of that identity, autonomy kicks in, and it can't shoot at the protesters, and then they realize, oh, there's a weakness, and then they start beating the living hell out of it. It's a tough world for a sec unit. I did like the little addition to in episode 9 of Murderbot talking with Garathan. It notices Garathan isn't making eye contact, and so it says, I notice you have an issue with eye contact. and it forces Garathan to look up at him, and then he get a little smile. It's like a little, okay, he's a touche.
That was a very, nice callback to when Mensa had,
and I believe it was Garathan forced Murderbot to make eye contact at one point.
Right. Yes, that's right. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I guess you're right.
Also, I appreciated just a little moment where Murderbot is on the ship with Grey Chris, and he's standing around a bunch of other sec units, and it's crowded, and so it bumps into one of the sec units, and he says, "Sorry." But just the idea that the cyborg would like be apologizing, it's just kind of a funny moment too. Okay, showing the maturation. Anyway, so that was cool. And then I really liked the line, which I thought really summed up a lot of Murderbot's motto for life. It was ironic to spend my last moments hugging a human when all I really wanted is to be left alone to watch my shows.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good call.
Yeah, I really thought that whole exchange worked well, doing that in slow motion.
Yeah, they're hugging each other through space.
Yeah, and it ended its consciousness with the line that was definitely straight out of the books, which is, "I have the best humans."
Yeah, my clients are the best clients.
The best clients. Yeah, there you
go. Yeah. No, that was really well done, and yeah, I would say these were maybe the best 2 episodes of the season. So
yeah,
you're going to end strong.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
Well played. So yeah, I'm looking forward to season 2 whenever that comes about. Well ended. Overall the show, I wasn't in love with all 10 episodes, but I did think it was a show worth watching. And the finale really made it really worth watching. So well done.
Yeah.
All right. Well, so next up, we've got Strange New Worlds. The new season is dropping this week, so we will be jumping into that show. We are also going to be talking about Superman, the movie, and in a few weeks, Fantastic Four, the movie, will be dropping, and so it'll be interesting to talk about that as well. So all that coming up. Thank you as always, Paul. Appreciate it, good sir.
No problem.
And we'll talk to everybody next time. Bye.
Bye.